Do you dream of adding your very own book to the collection of books that have already been written? Do you wonder where to start or how to finish? Does the idea of writing a book seem too overwhelming? Do you just want to polish up those writing skills or stay motivated? Do you wonder what to write about? Everything you need to help you write, stay motivated, and self-publish your own book is right here on one channel. And why? Well, because it's time to get over the writer's hump and just do it. You can write anything. Yep, you can write a book. Hello, world. I am so excited. You are here today on a book, and we are going to be talking today to my friend Daniel Finkel. He is awesome. Sorry, I'm moving stuff around. I'm so excited. So Daniel Eric Finkel, he is the writer of Mr. Taffle's Pants of Insanity, and I cannot wait to introduce you to him. Daniel, how are you? What do you have there?
I figured like if I was going to be, oh, sorry about that. My headphones immediately fell out. I figured if I was going to be your first guest, I better bring a mannequin head,
My
just,
gosh.
something, since this is the kickoff to your big show and I'm the
Yes.
first guest. What
Yes,
an
you
honor.
are.
This is Monique, by the way. She is
Hey,
from the book.
Monique. Oh, I love it. Okay, I'm going to tell this audience a little bit about
Yeah,
your book
this
from
we
my
kind of,
perspective. Okay,
all right.
so you first off, genius. This book was absolutely the most entertaining thing I had read in forever. So I was excited when I got the book. So I'm going to tell our audience I met Daniel on a Facebook group, right? It was a Facebook
Yeah.
group where he was promoting his book. And I loved what you had to say, loved everything that you had to say. And you had so much energy. And I couldn't wait to get the book. You made me want to get your book. So what
Yeah,
I
I thought,
did, I
well,
was,
I figured I'd rap, like I was
yeah.
throwing raps on there. I was like, I'll do anything to get attention. Like,
Oh,
what am I going to
well,
do? And
it
I got
worked.
yours attention. This is
It worked.
shows
It
it
definitely
works.
worked. Yeah. So I was a truck driver and I was driving truck and I got your
That's like the
audio
coolest
book.
thing you could say though. Like, I'm a truck driver. Like, yeah, you're a badass.
Driving down the road. So I got the audio book. Obviously, I couldn't read and drive against the
Thank you
law,
for not
all that
doing
kind of
that.
stuff. But I got
Appreciate
the
that.
audio book, and if I'm not mistaken, was I the first one to get your audio book?
You were the first one to listen to it that wasn't,
Man,
forced to.
and you didn't make listen to it.
Yeah,
No, so I
exactly.
got it, and it kept me entertained for several hours as I'm driving down the interstate. And I'm laughing. I'm laughing my butt off because that thing was hilarious. Such a good book. And it just reminded me of this hybrid, like Willy Wonka meets Alice in Wonderland kind of vibe to it. And it was hilarious. It was funny. It was nothing based in reality, but it was just like so raw. And I loved it. I loved the humor throughout this entire thing. And
Well,
couldn't
thank you.
wait. Couldn't wait
Yeah.
after that. It's like, no, when I get ready to start the show, Daniel's got to be on it.
Oh, that's surreal, because everybody out there releases their book into the world, that has done it, and you don't know what's going to happen, and you just
Oh,
want anyone to read it. You don't, especially if you're self-published like us. So just having you say
yes.
that, as every author that is watching this can imagine, it's surreal. And thank you so much for that.
And Daniel, it doesn't happen for every author. Not every author gets to experience feedback from their readers. And
It's hard.
it is tough.
I've
Yeah.
literally like I've contacted so many people like when I was doing this to try to read the first draft, and it was just because I didn't know like how to do it, and
Yeah.
it was hard. It was harder, a lot harder than I thought to get people to sit down and read a manuscript. So that takes like a lot of work and a lot of
People don't have time. They don't have time these days. And
hard.
I
It's hard.
know, like, with every single book that I have written, there's always been this elation, like, oh, I did it. I wrote this book. I'm finally done. Finally got it published. I got through all the hard stuff. But then there's also like this crash, and that happens when nobody sees it. Nobody reads the book, and you've put all this effort into it. And I think that, that's a real thing that happens to some writers. I know you've written other stuff. You've done screenplays and things like that, right?
Yeah, I've been writing screenplays for like 20 years. So
Yeah.
while this was my first book, this wasn't, this was this was a screenplay adaptation, that I had probably done 19 drafts of and had almost gotten made as a movie at one point, but a completely different movie, weirdly. It just
Really?
changed this one
It,
stuff. I've written a lot of screenplays that have, I love the ideas so much. I'm just not, I don't want to let go. And so you were mentioning earlier Willy Wonka and Alice in Wonderland. So when I was deciding which one to pick for my first book, I was like, I think doesn't everybody want to read the next Alice in Wonderland kind of book? Like,
right.
like everyone as a kid loves that and they still love it as an adult, I feel like. Obviously, Wonka just made a big amount of money. I said big because I was about
Yes.
to cuss and I didn't. I told you I wasn't
I'm
going to,
so
but
proud of you, Eric
thank
or
you.
Daniel. I'm so proud of you for doing
I am proud of myself.
that.
We should like
It's great. It's
we
great.
should do a little
Yeah.
check every time I don't, I'm about,
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah. You run around your house with
I
a
want to
swear
win some
jar. Be
points.
honest. Do you have a swear jar in your house?
Yeah, so I leaned into that, I leaned into it. In that draft, the last draft I did of that screenplay, which was called at one point Mr. Taffle's Pants, or it was called Stan Taffle's Leather Pants. That was the original title.
Oh, really? You changed
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, no, it became something else when I had an opportunity at Disney. There was a producer that had a deal with Disney, and I had this whole idea how to turn it into like, The Sorcerer's Apprentice with Nicolas Cage. Do you remember that? It was like it
Oh,
wasn't very
I
good,
don't
but
know
that
if
was
I've
my
seen it.
like. It was basically a retelling of the one with Fantasia. That's
Okay. All right.
with
Yeah.
the main story with Mickey, and he's the Sorcerer's Apprentice. So they did that with
Ah,
action characters and just kind of reference the original thing. So
nice.
I thought I could do that for Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. And looking back, it wasn't a very good idea because that story is a completely weird. I just went for it. I didn't really research it. And that actually has a long, real story that had nothing, obviously, to do with mine. So, but
Oh,
that didn't happen after I basically got ghosted by this big producer because I was told by somebody, a friend that knew I was doing this, congratulated me one day. He's like, "Congratulations." And I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Your movie, they're making it." And so I looked and like Disney and the trades, Disney had decided to make Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Obviously, this guy was a pipeline into Disney. They wouldn't call me back. No one would like get back
wow.
after that. They just straight ghosted me. So they weren't going to use the idea, but they just thought like they have an option. I found out to every Disney ride. So
Oh
for a
my
movie.
gosh.
So I
Ah,
think I really do believe that obviously that like my idea of doing this they were like, yeah, that is a good idea. We should do this. They never did it though, which is weird. So um
wow.
are my
That's
headphones
that's
on?
crazy. That's like, I don't know. I can only imagine what was going through your head at the time.
Oh,
Like,
I'm
did they
sorry. Hold
steal
on
your,
one moment.
did we lose you?
Sorry about that. My headphone fell out and then my own iTunes came on and my own rap song of me rapping was just in my headphone for the last 10 seconds. So instead of hearing what you just said, I heard myself rapping,
I
which is
said, I
really
can
weird.
only imagine what must have been going through your head at that time. Did you think like, hey, did they just steal my work? Is that what you thought at first?
I just, obviously I didn't, well, I knew that they weren't going they were just optioning to make a movie. They were hiring a writer and they were making,
Oh,
director was the guy that had just done the last Beatles. There was something for the Beatles at that time where they did some animation,
oh
like
boy.
maybe a new game, Beatles Guitar Hero or something like that. I think the guy that was like the main dude, that was the guy they said was like attached now to do
Oh,
it. And
okay.
I was like, the fact that they just wouldn't call me back
Yeah, like
is
just
true.
tell me something. Just
They know
talk to
they
me,
literally
right?
like it was like the ghost of the century.
No
It was really
way.
raw.
Oh
And
my gosh.
but I've got a lot of those. But that one's one of the big ones. I feel like that's a good one. But yeah, I've been out here for a while, obviously, trying to figure out this world, of screenwriting. And I've gone through many, many ups and downs, obviously. And I really was just doing it because I love writing. I just love doing this. And when you love doing something, you don't want to give it up, like
Right.
despite the fact that you might not be doing well and have to take side jobs and stuff. I just People always say I admire you for that, but I'm like, I don't really have a choice because I feel miserable when I'm not doing it. So like, am I going to feel miserable or am I going to like continue this journey?
I am so glad you said that, because that is what I want this channel to be about, is for those writers out there who love it. And I'm not here to tell any writer how they're going to make a buttload of money or they're going to be a famous author or anything. If I knew that trick, I'd be doing it, right? I write because I love it. And I have met so many other people who are just flat out passionate about it. And they want to know how to do it. How do I do it? How do I write? Because they enjoy it and they want to get where you and I are, where their books are actually published and they can see them in those bookstores and on Amazon and all of that. What gave you the idea? I mean, I know you talked about everybody wants that next Alice in Wonderland, but your mind must be a really scary place, guy, because that's a
Well,
wild book. So like, what gave
thanks.
you all of
Yeah.
these ideas? Where
Yeah.
did you get them? Where did they come from?
Oh, yeah, it's a long history for when I started. Like, you start an idea and it becomes one thing and then it just it turns into something completely different. Like, especially if it's just one of these ideas that you just keep working with. Like, I mean, I don't want to sound pretentious, but it really is like a sculpture, like these to me, like some of these. And I just don't get it right the first time a lot of times. So it's just like adding to it throughout the years. But it started because I moved to Los Angeles and this was like the mid late 90s, probably when I moved out here. Um, and I was a little like I was more nerdier. I wasn't like I was like in my, little polo shirt probably. I wasn't like cool, at all. And like I am now.
Yeah, Daniel, you are so cool.
But for some reason, I figured I'm gonna get my hair white. Like I'm gonna turn it white. Like I saw someone with white hair, and I'm like, I'm gonna do it. I'm in LA. I want to just change things up. I'm gonna do something radical. And at that time, you got to know, like now, it's like people didn't have tattoos everywhere, and I mean, some people
It
did,
was
but
different. Yeah.
so I saw this woman like before, like she was like, wow, like now she would look kind of normal, but like back then, it was like she was like kind of wilder and like whatever, and she wasn't looking at me. So I did this. I remember getting this torturous process done, and I came out and I had white hair, and all of a sudden I looked like Blade, something out of Blade Runner. It was
No
wild. So,
way.
and I walked down, and she was down there, and she just kind of started like kind of checking me out and stuff, and like kind of was vibing to me all of a sudden. And I was like, wow, one little thing about your appearance, you change, and all of a sudden you're like a new person.
Yeah.
And I don't, the hair thing didn't translate, but somehow the leather pants became like, what if you just started wearing leather pants around? That would be funnier, kind of like, right? And
I'm glad.
how would that like change how people perceive you and stuff like that,
Oh man.
and now, obviously, when I did the Disney thing, I turned it into more of like a fairy tale, the book version you're reading today, where I became more of like a magical tale of these cursed leather pants. At first, they weren't cursed. It was just how seeing this character, seeing how people perceived him different, like got him into this whole weird underworld, and it was more R-rated. It was more like, it had like really R-rated jokes and stuff, and like at that time, something about Mary and all that humor was still like, happening. Like it was in Hollywood, it was going down. So I was ripe for that. I was ripe for that because
Oh boy.
that's kind of where that's just easy for me, even though I didn't know what I was doing though. As far as like
Oh,
screenwriting, I was like learning how to write while I was kind of getting a lot of attention. So I wasn't very good at all when I got my most success. Uh,
wow.
I was just
Wow.
I was just like, okay, I don't give a shit. Oh, sorry. Oh,
Hey, no, we're doing good. We're doing
I
good.
lost my check. Okay, so but I was like, I don't care. I'll just do whatever, I just want to write and I could make a living writer. I'll write these movies because I like those movies, like whatever. So I was writing like teen comedies, like trying to teen sex comedies and stuff like that, and I was doing all of a sudden really well,
Wow.
I optioning script. Got a 2 rewriting fee for MGM.
Oh
These
boy.
scripts were horrible, Laura.
Oh,
I would be
really?
embarrassed if any of them got made. So,
Yeah.
um,
It's
I,
funny that you say that because I was just sharing the other day my very first book that I ever wrote is it's a disaster. It's like it's an embarrassment. It really is. But we progress in our skills as time goes on, right? So some of the stuff we write is not good. It's just not. I mean, and there's a reality to that. And I think everybody wants to write if it can be good instead of using those bad writings as practice and a learning experience. Does that make
yeah,
sense? Does that make
yeah,
sense to you?
completely. You have to. I mean,
Yeah, you just got to
you
get
or
through
you
the
can't
bad
fake.
stuff.
It's. I mean, a lot of people talk about it, but you can't. But you have to let go for your first draft. You
Well,
have to.
I'm gonna take a break right here. We're gonna take a break, and then we are going to come back. Okay, and when we come back, I want to show everybody your Amazon page that has your, or where your book is listed on
Yeah,
Amazon. So
show me,
we're just gonna
show
go
my
ahead
stuff,
and
Laura.
I know we're going to talk more about your book. So if everybody will just hang on, we'll be right back here in just a moment. Do you dream of adding your very own book to the collection of books that have already been written? Do you wonder where to start or how to finish? Does the idea of writing a book seem too overwhelming? Do you just want to polish up those writing skills or stay motivated? Do you wonder what to write about? Everything you need to help you write, stay motivated, and self-publish your own book is right here on one channel. And why? Well, because it's time to get over the writer's hump and just do it. You can write anything. Yep, you can write a book. All right, Daniel, we are back. I'm going to go ahead and share with everybody where they can find your book on Amazon. And I think you have it out in some other places, right? Or at least the audiobook.
Oh,
I
the audiobook
think I got
is
that on Spotify, right?
yeah, the audiobook is available on all platforms, except right now Audible doesn't have it. It's kind of
Okay.
basically I put it in this Find Away Voices. Is that what it's called? Find Away
Find away
Voices.
voices.
Um, it's a company where you they basically distribute it to all the audiobook,
Okay. So they do
companies.
the distribution for you. It's like a
Right.
one time place where you just put it in there and okay.
Yeah. But for some reason they're having trouble with Audible. So I
I don't
keep going
know.
back and forth. So I'm trying to solve that right now. But
Uh,
hopefully that'll be solved and it'll be available in there since they are the number one platform.
right.
But
Yeah. Yeah. Or iTunes. I don't know if people get books on iTunes. Spotify is where I would go, but it was
I'm
worth it. It
now,
was well worth it.
yeah, thank you. I'm driving people towards Spotify just because of the abnormal promotional stuff we've been doing. It just
Yeah,
feels
yeah. It's
very
and it's a lot.
Spotify.
Look at this. This I love it. I love it. I love your cover to this book. Who created your cover? Was that your genius?
No, well, I came up with the idea. I can't believe I can't remember her name right now. I I need to let me look at no, well, I'll just say it was a artist out of New Zealand that I got from not Fiverr, what's that other Reedsy.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
went
All
to
right. Well, she did a
Reedsy.
great job. I mean, this is just fantastic. That it's just once I read the book and then I look at this, it's like, man, that cover fits that book perfectly. It's just great. It's
Thank
good. I
you.
love the colors to it and everything. It's awesome. But yeah, this is where people can go on Amazon anyway, and it's like not expensive. What's your book like? $12 or something to get? It's not 11.99 or 21.99 for the hardcover, so it's not expensive at all. And yeah, yeah, I would like highly recommend this. So jump on over there and click on that, and you can get the book. But you know, I think one of the places I kind of wanted to go in this conversation is you've been really fortunate with this book that you've had people reading it. I know you've been in some bookstores or a bookstore anyway, one of the biggest bookstores there in LA, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I would like to say, that was we've done for the book, we did a premiere in a bookstore, and then for the audiobook in October when I released that,
Okay.
we were fortunate enough to get the Last Bookstore, which is one of the most amazing independent bookstores in the United States. So it
Oh,
was especially because it has all these like archways made of books. It's got like this path of like it just made so much sense for this book, obviously, as
right. It
both
just fit.
psychedelic.
It's like it's like
Yeah.
that bookstore was made for this book. It really
Yeah,
is.
it
But
really was cool.
but one
So
of the things that I wanted to touch on, I'm sure that somewhere in your career as a writer, you've written stuff that you thought, man, that's really cool. I like what I've written here. And nobody saw it. Nobody appreciated it. Nobody loved it like they are Mr. Taffle, Pants of Insanity. But what do you do to stay motivated to get through those times when, you've written something and nobody saw it, or maybe people did see it and they just didn't have the response to it like they're having to this book now? How do you get through that?
well, that happens to me all the time with my screenplays. So yeah, no, I mean, I get that. Like, my projects are not 100% like every time I write them. To me, they are. I always think they're awesome,
Yeah.
usually right away. It's usually like after like, 6, 7 months where you're like, maybe that wasn't so awesome. Maybe
Yeah.
that needs some work. So it happens to me. It happened with this book. I thought it was done earlier, and then I hired someone to do the copywriting, and I got it back, and I'm like, this isn't good enough yet, because
Yeah.
I gave my time to not look at it. Like I feel really strongly about fresh eyes. You need to let stuff sit for a while, for me at least, like and really be more patient. And I know it's hard because once you finish something, you're like, I did it, let's
I'm
go,
so excited. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you can put it away for as long as you can possibly do it, before you're like, I can't stand it anymore,
Well, and I think
because
I think too, on that note, there comes a point where, and I've seen people do it, where they tweak it, they're
oh,
too
there's
afraid to put
overdoing
it's
it.
not perfect enough. And I've always said that perfection is the enemy of progress. And so get it done. Just get it done. It's never going to be perfect. Every single one of my books has a mistake in it. And every single one of my books, and that's after editing and people, like you said, those fresh eyeballs. I've had 10 or 12 people, and um, I had probably 40 or 50 copies of one of my books go out. And then somebody messaged me and said, hey, you have an error in this book. And it was a big one. Like, it was a big one. It was, yeah, it was an embarrassing error and everything. But so what? I fixed it and we went on and life goes on, but the rest of the book was still good. And I try to tell people it's never going to be perfect. It just isn't. There's always going to be something. And then I've written things, and years later I've gone back and I've read it and went, I wish I would have worded that different, or I wish that I would have
Right.
told it in a different way. So just get it out there. Like that's my thing, is just get it out there. Just do it. But I think the saddest thing is to not do it and then have all of those regrets. Oh, I should have written a book. I should have gotten this done. Right? You think
Yeah, I
so?
mean, always, always. And I, like you said, I think there's a happy medium to all of that.
Of
I think
course.
there's to
Yeah.
be more patient and not to like be one of these people that just will never release it because they're scared to have
Yeah.
it written.
Well,
Like,
I'm not saying that you should just do it and throw it out there. I mean, obviously, you want to make sure that it's as good as you can get it, right? It doesn't, you don't want these egregious errors that are like so glaring that it makes it hard for the reader to even get through it. But at the same time, you'd be surprised how many people don't catch those mistakes. They don't.
oh,
They just don't. They get so engrossed in the story or the
yeah.
content of what they're reading that they don't even catch the mistakes. So, and I look at it this way: we live in a day and age where I don't think anybody really writes messages anymore to each other. We just, everything's LOL or BRB, or we've abbreviated everything, and we still are able to communicate. So I'm not saying you want to do that for an entire book, but if we can communicate in this world with really poor grammar the way it is, and some holes in our writing, then we should be able to get through a book. I don't know if I'm making sense or not, but that's
No,
just
you
kind
make
of,
that. You make sense. It's just we live in a different time. That's why I did the
it
audiobook
is.
because I
Oh,
realized that
it's
a lot of
great.
people
And
weren't
so
gonna.
who did the acting in the book, in the audiobook?
Yes.
Because it was really good character acting.
Oh yeah, he's a really close friend of mine named Tommy Toretta. And it was
Oh,
really weird because for some reason when I finished the book, I had in my mind that I wanted an English woman to read to be the narrator. I don't know
oh,
why.
really?
That would have been the
Really?
wrong move. But what I
Yeah.
did was so I started like I forget the company. I went to some company in Europe and they were like audition giving me auditions of these women, like doing these, and they were either like too expensive or they just were like not good enough. So I'm like, all right, what am I thinking? I just need a comic genius. Wait, one of my best friends is a comic genius, and someone that was actually like during the pandemic, like we would hang out once a week at each other's pads and just have some drinks and like shoot,
The
just talk.
breeze, the breeze, right?
I was about to say it, so I get
Yeah,
up one
yeah.
again. I'm
Gotcha.
up one. No, so it just was it was almost like embarrassing how perfect it was because like it was right in front of my face the whole time, like but because I knew how many he's just like this wild, funny guy that could do all as all these crazy voices and just so it becomes like a psychedelic cartoon in your head. I really feel
Yeah,
like it
yeah.
elevates the book big time.
Yeah, that's a great
Very
way of putting it.
fortunate.
Psychedelic cartoon in your head. That, I would say that is a perfect description. And I felt like when he was reading this and he was because he acted out all of the characters. He didn't just read it. I mean, he really did such a good job of acting that I felt like he knew that book. I mean, he knew it. And so it makes more sense when you're saying this is a friend of yours because he knows you. And so he knew
Yep,
the writer and I think he understood your intent with this book because he delivered it just perfectly.
100%. And
Yeah.
yeah, and it was wild to watch him do it. I mean, we could only do about 3 chapters every day, every session because it was
Oh,
such a workout. He was so intense
yeah.
and it was so wild.
I was really impressed because there's so many characters in the book and he gave a voice to each one of those. And he was able to change, his voices for those characters and just stay in character with each one, even throughout all of the dialogue. It was, I don't know, it was just really, he did a great job. It was just really good, I think.
Thank you. It's funny story is when we first met, like, and we were going through it, we were like at a bar, a crowded bar, and he's like, we're like, because I was like, all right, let's just go through your voices and figure out which ones would be good for these. Like, we'll just go through. Like, I'm like, I didn't want to do like De Niro or Pacino because he does like perfect, but I was like Alan Arkin. A lot of people don't know Alan Arkin. He does Alan Arkin, who's this comedian. Like, I don't know if he's this old school actor.
I don't know it. Yeah.
Yeah, you would know him if you saw him act kind of.
Okay.
But so that's what I mean. So like I'd be like, okay, that could be Alan Arkin, So he would just do Alan Arkin as the guy, and like we went through all the characters, and we had the voice like it on a phone, so it was like every time we reference like what was that character's voice again, we'd have to like go through the bar night and like find it, like in our bar conversations. That's how
What was
high
that?
tech
Yeah.
we were. Yeah. So,
Yeah. I liked Monique.
oh
I
yeah,
loved the whole mannequin thing, but I'm going to be really honest. I don't want to give the whole book away, but I was kind of disappointed about her head.
yeah.
I'm just,
Well,
going to say that. So,
that was actually not in the original screenplay. That was definitely just a choice I made as it was
yeah,
happening.
it
So
was fun. Just was fun. The whole thing was. I don't want to give the whole, I don't want to give the story away, but the mannequin just like wow, that was like this guy's crazy.
well, I just thought it'd be strange if someone had
uh,
their own mannequin they just walked around with, like some artist,
like
like they're like, it's
their
my own
alter ego
mannequin.
or
Yeah,
yeah.
so I thought that was just funny. So like
It
I
was,
don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, so I just ran with that.
Yeah, no, it was good. The whole thing was good. What advice do you have for somebody who wants to write, who wants to be an author, who wants to get their story out there?
I
I,
feel like
I
they should definitely get divorced.
yeah, that does that help?
Yeah, be single. No, like have no life. No. Uh, for me, it's a lot about making it fun and routine. So I do like to now I should say that during the pandemic, obviously I wrote at home,
Yeah.
all the time. So, but I can write at home, but I find myself more distracted at home with more things around me. So what I like to do, my ideal day is to wake up, do a couple things, and then take my laptop to a little coffee house. I'm that guy. Get a nice breakfast, and just like sit there and this is fun. And then I just start getting in my laptop, and next thing I know, it's 4 hours, and I'm like, should I do another one? What do I have to do? Can I have enough time? And then I'm usually done, and that's
And do you do this every
fun.
day or just certain days of the week?
Right now it's like I just have to I'm just when I have gaps of time. I was just obviously really busy with the promotion of this book,
Right.
life
Right.
stuff.
Because
So
you did a huge launch. I mean, it was big.
I've been doing a lot of different stuff for this, like nonstop. Luckily, like I have a lot of talented friends that have helped me along the way, with the engineer who did the audiobook is a great audio producer. that I've worked with on some other stuff. And like, so, he did it for where he would probably have charged me way more. And then like I have a friend that is on the forefront of a lot of that AI animation stuff. He's been working with it. So he did some wild advertisements for me that I could never have, I could have
Yeah.
done.
Pretty,
So
and I've kind of been following some of this, not all of it, to be honest, but I've been following what I can. And on that note, I think I want to share everybody. I want to share with everybody your let me get there. What is it? Your oh, is it Instagram you're on? Yeah, it's Instagram, right?
I am on Instagram. I'm on TikTok as well now. I'm trying to grow that since we're doing a lot of
Okay.
wild animation stuff.
Well,
Well,
let's
we're back
see
to
if
my
I can.
look at that
Oh
cover.
yeah,
We love
yeah.
that
That
cover.
cover is so cool.
Hey, 4.9. I didn't have 5 stars anymore. Oh
What?
my God.
What'd you do?
Who? Who didn't give me five
Actually,
stars?
it's a good thing. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. I don't know. Let's
I
see.
can't believe I haven't got more 1 stars. Actually, I'm pretty amazed.
Let me get back over here. Let me stop this. I got to switch over to there so we can find your Instagram, because that's what I want to show people. You have all kinds of stuff on there right now,
Yeah.
and some wild videos and things like that, right? On
Yeah. I mean,
Instagram. So let me see if I
I've
can
been
get
putting a
over
lot of stuff.
there and we'll share that with everybody.
Okay.
Technology is great when it works, right? When it does
Yeah,
what we
I'm
want it to
imagining
do.
I'm
So
just
let's see,
amazed we're
screen.
recording right now. We figured that
Yeah,
out.
we are. Can you imagine? I mean, there was a time where there was no way we could have recorded unless we were in the same room together. And
Oh,
now we get to
yeah,
do
there's a lot of
this
weird
from
stuff.
here. Here we go. So this is your Instagram. So anybody who wants to find you can just go to Daniel Eric Finkel on Instagram, and here you are. But I mean, there's all kinds of ads on here for the book, so they can kind of
Yeah.
connect with you that way. And if they have questions, I love this. This is great.
Yeah.
This one right here, cool stuff. you know. So yeah, go on over there, check out all of the stuff that he's got. It's great. You're gonna love it. And you, I think people are really just gonna love you. That I tell you, that's the whole reason why I got the book to begin with, because you put yourself out there and you made yourself accessible and you were fun. And you really, for me, I felt like you were really just drawing people into what you had going on and trying to create this atmosphere where they could be a part of it. It wasn't just, hey, look at, I have a book, please buy it from me. It was, come be a part of this fun journey that I have going on. I really appreciated that.
Well, thanks.
I think other people will too.
I think one of the reasons I've taken a little different approach to the promotion of this book is because I've been in a bunch of experimental music bands, like and you know I was like in the beginning I was like a sidekick to like the psychedelic rock band with hip hop kind of vibe as well. So it was called the Serotonins, and it was like in the earlier 2000s to like 2005. And it was kind of like a Burning Man band. And we got pretty big. It was right before like Facebook and YouTube really exploded. Um, and then I was in another band called the Warlords of Rock and Roll, Thunder and Lightning, and some other stuff. And I've managed to do like been in some crazy musical acts that always had involved comedy a little bit. They weren't jokes, but they were definitely funny at points. And you promote stuff. I never actually really did a good job of promoting those albums, but I felt like a band, like when you release something, like I feel like people give up on it too quick, or they're just trying to write too many, like they're gonna write a whole series like when they don't even promote the first one. Like you gotta
Yeah.
figure like you gotta at least try like everything you can. And all these things we're doing is like this, it's just another spark out there. Like I did that one thing and I attracted you. Now we're
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like
And you
I'm
just never
open to
know who
anything.
you're going to meet along that journey, but you have to be willing to put yourself out there to do that. Right.
Right. So I'm just, I'm using all those like weird things I've done for the last 20 years, the performance art, music stuff, and just trying to get out there and just just use all the little weird powers that I've gained over the years, from doing it, a lot of stuff.
So I know I've asked you this before, and we touched on it a little bit, but how do you stay motivated? So I because I deal with a lot of people who come to me and say, how do I get my book published? They're just everyday people like me, and they're at home and they've got a book idea. Maybe they want to do a self-help book, or they want to do write something for their children, a legacy that they can pass on to their kids about maybe their family history, but they don't know how to publish it, and they don't know how to stay motivated, and they don't think their work is good enough, and on and on and on. All of the excuses I think people can make to write. But when it comes to motivation, I've lost motivation several times. There have been books that I've started and not finished because I just gave up on them. I lost interest in them, whatever the case may be. And for me, what helps me stay motivated is this idea that somebody else is going to see it. And I want them to see it. If I'm going to write something, it's because I have something to say. And that's just for me. Different things motivate different people. But what would you say to that person who's out there and is like, well, I don't know. I just can't seem to get motivated to do it. And I don't know. Maybe there is no magic way for somebody to stay motivated. Either you have a passion for it or you don't. But if motivation is a problem, how would you counsel or guide somebody into staying motivated to write?
It's a hard one for me because I'm motivated because I want it so bad, and I've never lost that fire, and I feel like I just keep getting better. So it's like going to college for all these years, and like all of a sudden you're like a doctorate, but like you're just gonna quit. You know what I mean? Like
Uh,
it just feels like weird. Like so I can't, and I'm fighting for it. So I want it, but when I get depressed, I do have trouble writing more than when so it's important to work on making sure those other things in your life, doing the best you can to like figure out ways like I meditate, you know, um, I do, and others, whatever gets you more relaxed and helps you through life is to me is going to help you with your writing because if the weight of the world's on your shoulders, how and you can't focus in on that creative magical energy that you need to write, like how's that work? For me it doesn't. Maybe other people are like the brooding, artists that are like they do well on
no,
that. I don't. So that's I guess my only advice would be like you got to just really keep working on your personal life.
I think that is wonderful advice. I really do. And I don't, and that doesn't just translate into writing. That's no matter what you're going to do. If you really want to succeed at things, you kind of have to do a little bit of that self care. Otherwise, everything falls apart, right?
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
that's I just kind of agree. I was a counselor for 19 years. You don't know that about me, but I was a counselor for 19 years. So, um, that resonates with me. It's like you have to do that self-care. You have to take care of yourself. But
Sure.
I'm like you. I don't know that I write out of depression or anything. So I'm guessing all of your work has been fictional. Everything you do is fictional, right?
Yeah, I pretty much accept. Yeah, I mean, for writing, I've never written like for a newspaper or yeah, no. Although I feel like I have to write a lot of summer like bios and stuff these days.
Oh, well, that kind of
Maybe
stuff,
I'm
sure.
not.
Yeah, I mean, you have to do that, but
Maybe I'm
yeah.
starting to become the rest. No, I'm definitely always fiction, different kinds of stuff, but usually like obviously if I kind of the
And
more
that
comedy I involved, usually the better well received it is.
that
Like I try to write more serious stuff, and it seems that is not my that doesn't draw in the people.
I had never written fiction before. It just I was like, oh, I don't, I'm just not me. And the very first book I ever wrote, I never intended to write. Not that I was a poor writer or anything like that. It wasn't on my radar. I never was the person who said, oh, I want to write a book someday. That wasn't me. I wrote because I was running a coaching agency and was trying to get speaking engagements. And my business manager said, you need to write a book if you want to get more speaking engagements. And I said, what am I going to write about? I had no clue. I wrote this really stupid book called A Squirrel Peed on Me, based on a true story. A squirrel really peed on me. And it was dumb. I mean, it was really stupid. It's a little self-help book. It's just kind of, it was just, here, I've got a copy of it right here. It's stupid. It's a really dumb book. It's the one that I told you I'm like really embarrassed by. But
Nice cover though. I like the cover.
but the cool thing, really, because the cover was, I didn't know how to create a cover. So I
That's
got
cool.
on,
Like
like, I'm
from here, that's
scouring
pretty
the
cool.
internet, trying to figure out how to even publish this thing. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no clue. Didn't know how to format, nothing. But I did it. And when these books came in the mail, when I got that first box of books and I opened it, I was like, my book. Wow, this is my book. I really published this. You know what I'm saying? And I was so excited, even though it was dumb and it was garbage. And but it motivated me. That was just like this kickoff point, and I wanted to write more after that. I just wanted to see my name in print, and then finally did write a really good business book that I'm quite proud of. It's called Better Coworkers by Monday. I got to put a plug in for myself here.
Yeah.
It's called
Good.
Better Coworkers by Monday, and it's all about communication in the workplace. I think it's a valuable book for anybody, whether you have a job or not. It just teaches you how to communicate with people in general. So, it's a good book. I like it. And then I just kept on
Right.
writing, but none of my books were fiction. They were all nonfiction until my last one. And my last book, this came to me while I was driving. And I think the question had been posed like something like, what would you say to Elon Musk if you could sit down in a room with him? And who hasn't wanted to sit down in the room with somebody, like that, right? So I thought about that. I was like, well, what would I want to say to him? And I wrote this book called My Fictional Encounter with Elon Musk. That was my very first fiction book. And it's a story within a story. It's an allegorical story of like the creation of the world and what goes on with all of that. And I'm having this conversation about the book with Elon Musk in a cafe, in a bakery. So
That sounds
it's
good. I
kind of,
need to
yeah,
get
so
that. I need to order that for
but
sure.
here's, so I'm driving, can't type and drive at the same time. And I'm talking to a friend of mine every night, bless her heart. She would stay up with me while I would drive because I drove until 2 o'clock every morning. And so she would stay on the phone with me to keep me awake. And we got this idea that I would dictate the book to her, tell her what I wanted each chapter to say, and then she would type it all out. And so we did that for about 6 months while I was driving. And I bounced all these ideas off her, and then she would take it and put it into paragraph form. So most of the book, most of it is not written in my voice, but they are my ideas, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Good.
yeah, so she did all of that. And here, I'll just kind of show everybody my fictitious encounter with Elon Musk. And I'm so grateful to her for doing that. But we ended up with this book, and my neighbor happens to be, he used to be an editor for a publishing company, so he's an English teacher, and he went over it and did all of the kind of critiquing of it. And I did 2 drafts of that one. And the whole time I'm thinking there's got to be a better way to tell this story, because I'm just not a fictional writer. I like to write, I love the process. But once I got done with it, I'm like, oh, I have a lot more stories in me. So now I'm writing 2 more fiction
Oh,
books. And
awesome.
the next one, I decided I really wanted to recapture that first title, A Squirrel Peed on Me. So this book that I'm writing right now is awesome. I love it. And I really think it's going to be my favorite book when I am done. I'm almost done with it. It's called A Squirrel Peed on Izzy. And it's about a young girl named Izzy. She goes outside, the squirrel pees on her, and life just kind of gets crazy for her and her family after that when a video of it goes viral. So that, I'm doing that. But yeah, I just love it. I love writing, and I really love helping other people. So many people, after I got started doing this and really wanted to write seriously, I had a lot of people step into my life and help me and show me. And they let me ask them questions like, how do you get your book on Amazon? Because I had no clue and no clue. And people wanted to see me succeed. And I want to give that back. I want to help other people succeed. And like
Great.
you, and give you a chance to be on this platform and on this show. And I hope you'll come back. I hope you will be a guest
I
on
would
here
love,
again.
I would love to. Yeah, I'm down to do whatever you want. This is great. I'm really excited for your show.
Awesome. That
It's
is that is so cool. We'll just
really
talk about,
great.
just talk about writing. And I want to know where you are on your marketing journey, because that's another element to this. I don't know much about marketing. People out there don't know. I think you and I have a mutual friend, Michael Evan.
Yeah, that's how that was the group that
So yeah, I think that's how we got connected. And so Michael Evan helps people kind of promote their books, in certain genres. And so this is a journey for me in terms of learning about marketing. And I think you are leaps and bounds ahead of me and where I am in that. And you're going after it a lot harder than I have too. So that makes a big difference. But people have stuff they can learn from you. Like I think people want to learn from others. And I was going to say you're humble, but I'm not so sure. You're great at self promotion.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not humble, but I don't really in all honesty, I didn't even know if I could pull off this book.
Mm.
So I'm just being honest. Like I
No, I
was,
think you're a great example to people of what can be done. Not everybody is going to get to the level that you're at right now, and I know that. I think most people understand that, but you're an example that it can be done and how to do it. Like, what did you do to you said it, you said you have some very creative people that you were able to tap into, like somebody who could read the book for you, and you had great marketers, you had a lot of people helping you in that. And so just like, I don't know, just like people can learn from you and they can look at you as an example of some kind of a bar that they can set for themselves and try to reach. And that's a wonderful thing. I mean, it transcends just writing a book, right?
well, that's kind praise. And I would, on my journey, I would definitely share with you anything we can think of to help anybody. I'm
Yeah.
still totally learning. I'm just going like wherever I'd go, the next thing just seems to pop up and I'm like, okay, we'll do that next. And then we'll do that. So it's like, I don't have a plan necessarily. I'm really just experimenting in all of this craziness and just
uh,
how far I can take it, basically.
Well, your experiments are working and you've definitely done some things right. And your book is fantastic. And I think you have a lot to say and a lot to share with people. And I am so looking forward to our journey together. And I can't wait to have you on the show again. I think it's great. You bring a lot of fun and energy to things. And so it's going to be wonderful. What parting words would you like to leave with our audience before we go today?
Everybody, look at me. Listen to the audiobook. Listen.
Listen to the audiobook. Find that on Spotify. Tell
Or
them
buy the book.
again.
Read it to yourself, which is how
I
I
know, but
honestly.
I just think the
I
audio is
like to read books
100%
that way,
better.
but I do want to push this audiobook because we work so hard on it, So I
Well,
want
and really, this book needs to be acted out. I saw this as a movie in my head the whole time I was listening to it. It just felt like a movie to me, and I think someday it will be. I just have a feeling we're going to see this on the big screen. We just will. That's the type of story that it is. I know everybody dreams about their book getting big like that and becoming a movie, but this one really, it's written that way, and you need to hear it. You need to hear the acting. You just need to hear the book. So I would just push everybody over to Spotify. Go get that sucker because that's it's a great book. Tell us again the title of it so nobody forgets before we get off here.
Mr. Taffle's Pants of Insanity.
Look at that cover. Love it. I love the cover. It is fantastic. Yeah, Mr. Taffle's Pants of Insanity. And I don't want to give away all the details of the book, but it's great. It's great. It's great. And you are going to have it in your brain for a long time. I don't know about other people, but I'm somebody who I can read a book and then a year later it's like I don't even remember what it was about. But this one, I can tell you so much about the book. It was great. It was great. So anyway, Daniel, thank you so much for being
Thank you.
here. Daniel Eric Finkel, you guys, make sure you go check out his book, and you can find him also on Instagram. Get his book on either Spotify, which I recommend, or Amazon if you don't feel like listening to something. In the meantime, everybody have a wonderful day, and thank you for joining us on a book. God
Hey,
bless.
congratulations, by the way, on your first episode.
Yes,
Woo! We
yes.
did
Episode
it!
number 1 is in the bag. We did a good
Oh!
job. So,
History.
and all because you were willing to be on here. I appreciate that. We are going to have a whole bunch more guests. I have 4 other authors lined up just over the course of the next couple of weeks. I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, you got to be the premier kickoff person. So if I got to be the first person to hear your audiobook, and you got to be the first person on a book today. Pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. Love you, guy. We will talk to you later.
Bye bye. Take care.